morning, everybody. Welcome to Movement this morning. Woohoo! I love that energy. It's all Paul's energy, but go ahead and stand and join us this morning. We're reaching out. We're reaching out to welcome you, God. Fill this place again with your song. Flood our thoughts with wonder and awe. Give us a greater glimpse of a never-changing God. All we want, and all we want, and all we need is found in you, found in you. Jesus, every victory is found in you, found in you. Sing open wide, our hearts now to yours. Every fear bow down to your love, that we would see like never before. Give us a greater glimpse of a never-changing God. All we want, and all we want, and all we need is found in you, found in you. Jesus, every victory is found in you, found in you. Sing in your presence. And in your presence there is freedom. And in your presence we are made whole. Sing it again. And in your presence there is freedom. And in your presence we are made whole. 'Cause all we want and all we need is found in you, found in you. Jesus, every victory is found in you, found in you. All we want and all we need is found in you, found in you. Jesus, every victory is found in you, found in you. You came to the world you created, trading your crown for a cross. You willingly died, your innocent life paid the cost. Counting your status as nothing, the King of all kings came to serve, washing my feet, covering me with your love. tell them you're glad they're here. We'll continue.
How are we doing today? Oh, wow. All right. Well, there are a few people here this morning, but it's good to be celebrating with all of you. My name's Ellen, and Emily is here with me this morning. We just wanted to take a moment to welcome you. We're glad to be able to gather together and just celebrate who God is, what he's doing, and be equipped to live on mission together. So thanks for being here with us. And you might recognize Emily from our greeters team. Maybe she has been one of the faces that has welcomed you into this space before, but I just wanted her to, all right, see, we've got some cheers for Emily. I just wanted her to have a chance to share how being part of that team has just kind of been a springboard for living out hospitality and living out the love of Jesus outside of this space.
Yeah, so getting to greet in the mornings allows me to hear blessings and burdens from all of you. And that has given me the opportunity to become an inspiration, hopefully, to give you faith to follow, to remember that God has a plan for you in your life. Mm-hmm. And so then I've used that as well at work and with my friends and family to be able to be the church outside of these walls.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like I've just seen you grow and just attentiveness to people around you and just meeting people exactly where they are. No matter where they find themselves. And that's something that we all get to live out, again, outside of this space in our day-to-day lives. And really it points us toward the importance of relationship as we follow Jesus, that we get to meet others where they are and walk together as we follow him. So if you're brand new to us this morning, we would love for you to fill out a Connect card so that we know that you're here and that we can walk with you in beginning to build those relationships. So we invite you to do that at this time. And Emily, I'll let you kind of give them the rundown of the ways that they can do that.
Yeah, so you have two ways you can do that. You can do it with the paper card in front of you in the seat back. You'll fill that out and drop it in the box either in the back of this auditorium or out in the lobby. Or you can do it by electronic ways of scanning the QR code with your phone's camera and following the link and filling out the information. Either way, you can tell us how you would like to connect with us or even give us some prayer requests. So if this is your first time or your 100th time here, if you want to connect with us, you can fill out those information and we will connect with you later this week.
And if it's your first time filling one of those out, we're going to donate $5 on your behalf to one of our partner organizations, Lifeline Christian Mission. And as we talk about what it means to be the church outside of this space, we really do. We want to see the gospel spread beyond even just Findlay, Ohio. And that's part of the reason that we partner with organizations like Lifeline. They're planting churches across the globe to help people come to know Jesus. And we get to be part of that. You know, we may never actually ourselves travel to some of those places, but we get to be part of the gospel being spread in those spaces just by supporting Lifeline. So as you fill out one of those Connect cards for the first time, just know that you get to be part of that. And really when we think about being generous as the church, our heartbeat in being generous is that we would see God's mission furthered, that we would see people come to know Jesus and follow him together. So that's part of our invitation to you this morning, is to begin to live out generosity in your life, to take a step in that. Emily, would you share a little bit about what it's looked like in your life to grow in generosity?
Yeah, so I am truly blessed because of him. Everything I have is from him. So I feel as I'm being generous, I'm passing along Jesus' love to other people. So I can do that financially, either by donating to organizations or maybe paying somebody's way. I could do it. I like to do it a lot with food. You can come to my office, and I will give you anything in my drawer if you're hungry. Or I also
Emily's
like
a good person to have in your life.
Yes. But I also like to give my time, whether I'm volunteering here or any other organizations or with my kids or with my friends and family. I like to also give my time. So
And I mean, recently we've spent time as a church talking about time, talent, and treasure, and how we have resources that are really a gift from God, and we get to use those in a generous way. And so that's an invitation this morning, especially within the context of the church, that you get to take steps in financial generosity and furthering God's mission in this community and beyond that. So if you want to take a step in that this morning, you have an envelope in front of you. You also have the QR code that Emily mentioned before that you can use for online giving. But also, we just want you to know that this morning, Emily and I will be out in the lobby after our celebration time, and we would love to get a chance to talk with you, especially if you're brand new here. If we don't know your name yet, come and stop by. We have a gift for you if this is your first time with us, so make sure to come over and say hello. But for right now, we're going to continue in our message series, Knowing God.
All right, how we doing? Yeah, all right. Well, it is great to be here and to celebrate with you today and to continue on this journey. Talk more about that in a minute, but I do want to just acknowledge and make mention that today is actually Palm Sunday, so this is like the beginning of what Christians refer to as Holy Week leading up to Easter, and so just a really significant day as we prepare for Easter, and just want to invite you. I just want to invite you over the next week or so to really take some time to slow down, to make time to really reflect on who Jesus is, and really just prepare your hearts for both Good Friday, but also Easter. And Palm Sunday is a really cool day as it marks the day that Jesus enters into Jerusalem for his final week. He comes in riding on a donkey, which points to all these prophecies from the Old Testament prophets who pointed to this Messiah that would come. And as he came in on a donkey, just showing this place of humility, people laid palm branches out in front of on the ground in front of him as he came in and shouted Hosanna and pointed to making this proclamation really that Jesus is King. And it's just such a cool picture of a king who didn't come in exercising or using military might or his strength, but really came as the Prince of Peace, right? And enters into Jerusalem preparing to die, to give his life for you and for me. And so that's what Palm Sunday is all about. And there's so much in this day that all points to who Jesus is, which is really what we've been doing over the last few weeks, is we've been taking a look at who Jesus is and letting his words that we find in the book of John really provide the context or provide the explanation for us. This series, like I said, is called Knowing God, and we're looking at these 7 I am statements that Jesus makes. And if you've been here over the last few weeks, you've heard it said already, but if you're new, just to catch you up, when Jesus uses the phrase I am, when he uses those two words I am, he's not just getting ready to explain who he is, but rather in those two words is making a claim that in fact he is God, all right? All the way back into the Old Testament when Moses receives this message from God that he's coming from a burning bush where he's to go and to be used to free the Israelites from the Egyptians from captivity. He says, you're going to go and lead my people out of slavery. And Moses says, well, who should I say sent me? And God says, tell them I am sent you. And when Jesus makes that connection, he's pointing to this truth that he is God. And this is just, I think it's pretty fascinating because in the Old Testament, God revealed himself to people, but he did so in some different ways, right? Through a burning bush to Moses, or to the multitudes, to the Jewish people with a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. Like God would reveal himself to them, but it was always in ways other than a personal way. But in the New Testament and what we read in the Gospels is when Jesus comes into the world, we see that it is God in flesh, that God becomes personal And Jesus himself is the one who helps us to know who God is. And so if you want to know God, look no further than Jesus. His life is a revelation of who God is, his love, the way he lived, his love, his compassion, his mercy, his justice, his teachings, all point to painting this picture of who God is. But then Jesus would also take those miracles and those acts of compassion and those teachings, and then Jesus would also use some words that would point to some deeper things, right? Some deeper things that really just help us clarify who God is. And that's what we find in these I am statements, is that Jesus is letting us into the deeper part of who he is. And in words like this, I am the bread of life, right? I mean, Jesus is saying, I am the one who provides. I'm the one that feeds your hunger. I'm the light of the world, that he brings light into darkness, that darkness won't overcome his light. And last week, we looked at the first of two I am statements out of John chapter 10. Jesus in John chapter 10 gives us this shepherd and sheep analogy, right? Jesus uses this parable about sheep in a sheep pen that are protected by the outside of the sheep pen, but there's an entrance in to the place where the sheep find protection. And he says, false robbers, our false shepherds and robbers and thieves will come and try to sneak into the sheep pen, to jump over the sides, but the true shepherd comes through the gate. And Jesus is pointing to this picture as he tries to explain what had happened right before that when he healed a blind man, right? There's this blind man that had been born blind, was a blind beggar. Jesus heals him on the Sabbath. The religious leaders don't know what to do with the fact that Jesus healed someone, that he worked on the Sabbath. They're opposed to Jesus and his teaching and his message. And so Jesus gives this analogy of the sheep and the shepherds and these false shepherds, and as it relates to his relationship with the religious leaders who were supposed to be drawing people to God, but instead were drawing them away from God. And so Jesus last week, as we read in John chapter 10, he says these words. We're going to start in verse 7 if you want to follow along. Jesus says this, very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who have come before me are thieves and the robbers, but the sheep have not listened to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in, they will go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to kill and steal and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. Jesus says, I am the entry point into the life that you've always longed for. I am the way that you find life. I am the entry point to a full, abundant life. I am the way that you discover the life that you've always been looking for. And right out of this declaration is where we find ourselves today as we step into the second I am statement, once again dealing with sheep and a shepherd. But this time, Jesus moves from being the gate. And listen to what he says. We're going to read verse 11 through verse 21 today if you want to read along. This is what Jesus says right after he says, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. And then he says these words, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep. So when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and he runs away. Then the wolf attacks the flock and it scatters it. The man runs away because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for his sheep. I'm the good shepherd. I know my sheep and my sheep know me. Just as the Father knows me and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that are not of the sheep pen, and so I must bring them along. They too will listen to my voice, and there shall be one flock and one shepherd. The reason my Father loves me is that I lay down my life only to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my accord, and I have authority to lay it down and authority to take it up again. This command I received from my Father. The Jews who had heard these words were once again, they were divided. Many of them said, "He is demon-possessed and raving mad. Why listen to him?" But others said this, "These are not the sayings of a man possessed by a demon. Can a demon open the eyes of the blind?" All right, so this is our text for the day. And honestly, if I were to just give you one phrase that I want you to hold on today, it's Jesus' words, right? He says, "I am the good shepherd." And what we're going to build off of today, and what I think really matters for you and for me that we find clarity in, is just this phrase, that Jesus is the good shepherd. That Jesus is the good shepherd. And I think that word "good" is so important for us to understand that in the Greek, there are multiple words that get translated as good in the English language, all right? And so throughout the New Testament, there are different words that we translate as good in the English translation, and yet they carry with them different meanings or different understandings or different levels of complexity for that matter. And so there are really two specific words that get used over and over again. The first one being this word agathos, and this simply means this, being morally upright. It means being a good person, right? Like doing the right thing. And then there's this other word in which John uses in John chapter 10 here, as he's telling us about Jesus, and Jesus' claim that he is the good shepherd, and it's this word kalos, and it means not only being morally upright, but the other definitions of this word are beautiful and magnificent, loving, and I love this line, excellent in all things. All right, Jesus, I want you to hear this. This is really important. Jesus is not saying I'm a good person. Yes, Jesus lived a sinless life, and it's significant for you and for me, and it has a ton of importance to it. But Jesus is pointing to this idea of being the good shepherd, and it moves far beyond just being doing the right thing. I was thinking about this word good, and how we usually think of the word good is by, were you good today or were you bad today? And, if you have kids, you're praying that they come home and that they were good today, right? That's your goal in that. I remember growing up, I went to Liberty Benton, and in elementary school, our principal, Mr. Cruz, had these pencils. Or I still remember they were light blue, white letters that said, I've been caught being good by Mr. Cruz. Now, anyone in here ever get caught being good by Mr. Cruz? Liar. Yeah, right. So, no, probably did. Here's the thing. I so desperately, I was man, I need to get my hands on one of those pencils. And so, I so desperately wanted to be caught being good by Mr. Cruz. And eventually, as time went on, I ended up with one of those pencils, but I'm pretty sure I got someone else's. I'm pretty sure I stole, I got caught being good by Mr. Cruz's pencil. I believe. I don't know. It's hard to imagine that I got it for other reasons, but maybe I did. Anyways, so I received one of those pencils, and it was years later when I was had moved back to Findlay. So in about 2013, 2014. So years after, just 2 or 3 years after graduation. I was out in the workshop with my dad. My dad had a workshop, and we were out working on something in his shop, and I needed a pencil, and I opened up the top drawer of his tool chest, and there was the "I got caught being good" by Mr. Cruz pencil. And so I grabbed that pencil, and I said, "Dad, funny story." And he's like, "Yeah, I know. You stole the pencil." I said, "Well, maybe, but I don't know for sure." Anyways, I think of this word "good," and I think about doing, being caught being good. But that's not what Jesus is pointing to here when he says, "I am the good shepherd," right? He's pointing to this picture. I am the complete, the perfect in every way, the beautiful, the magnificent, the loving shepherd. I am the good shepherd. And anyone who spends much time, or anyone, let me just ask it this way. Any sheep like people that spend time around sheep in here? Sheep farmers? Yeah, a couple shepherds in the house. All right. Here's what you know. We talked about this last week. Like, sheep are not overly smart, right? Like, they're not the most intelligent animals in the world. They need a shepherd, right? They need someone to guide them, or they need fence today or whatever. But they need help. But the fascinating thing about sheep is they listen to their shepherd's voice, and they desire to be led. They long to be led by a shepherd. They need to be led. And Jesus is like, look, here's what I need you to understand. I am the one who will lead you to the place that you need to be led. I am the one who will care for you, to guide you, to protect you. And I am the good shepherd. And just in case we need to understand more of what this means, and just in case we need a better idea of why Jesus says, I am the good shepherd, he actually goes into, in the verses that follow, right, he gives us some explanation for what that means for you and what that means for me. He gives us some reasons of why this is true. And what I just want to do for a couple minutes is spend some time looking at what it means for us that Jesus is the good shepherd. Why does this matter? Why does he use this analogy? What's the deeper meaning behind it? And so how we're going to do that, we're actually going to go backwards through this. Not surprising, I know. Like, we're going to do things a little backwards here. But we're going to start more towards the end and then work our way back up to the beginning of what we read this morning. But I just want to give you three things that I really believe this means, that Jesus is the good shepherd, that I really feel like many of us in this space need to hear today. Especially as we prepare for Easter, especially as maybe you're here and you're just exploring who Jesus is and need a little clearer picture of why that matters for you. Maybe you just need a reminder of what it means to be under the care and the protection of Jesus as the good shepherd. Whatever that may be, I just want to look at three reasons why Jesus saying these words, I am the good shepherd, are so important. And so here's the first reason why. It means this. It means you're included. Like, you as in you and me as in me, we're included. And this is so significant as we read the Gospel of John, and specifically John chapter 10. Like, Jesus points the religious leaders that he's speaking to. He points them towards the bigger picture of his mission and what it means for humanity. All right, look at these verses with me again. Verse 16, it says, I have other sheep that are not of this sheep pen, right? Not of this flock, and I must bring them also. They too will listen to my voice, and there shall be one flock and one shepherd. And this is like extremely significant news for you and for me. This is great news. This is news that changes everything, because Jesus is talking to a group of Jewish religious leaders and a Jewish audience who throughout history knew that like the Messiah would be they were God's chosen people, that the Messiah would come and rescue them and save them, and that he would come through David, the line of David, and there's all this understanding for the Jewish people that Jesus was, or that like there would be a Messiah that would rescue them. But what Jesus does here is he says, look, this isn't just a message for the Jewish people. This is a message for all of creation. This is a message that moves beyond being a select few and basically opens the door. Jesus is saying, look, anyone who listens to my voice, anyone who wants to be welcomed in, they're included. Anyone who's willing to listen and hear my voice, they can be brought into my family. And I don't know about you, but there are times in my life where I've felt unlovable, unworthy, broken, uninvited, and yet Jesus is like, look, you're included. I am the good shepherd, and being the good shepherd means you have a place in my family. And I really think that this is so significant for many of us here today, because I don't know where you're at, but I just know that there are times in my life where I've just needed to hear that, like, in the midst of my brokenness, that I am still included and invited into the family of God. The second thing is this, you are known. Listen to these words, verses 14 and 15, just right before that. Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. I what? I know my sheep, and my sheep, they know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. The Greek word used for know here is this word gnosko, and it literally means this, like knowledge of someone on the deepest, most intimate level. Like, we're not talking about, Jesus isn't saying like, I know something about you or you know something about me. What Jesus is pointing to is that he invites us to know him, and he knows us at the deepest, most intimate level. Like, you can be known at a level beyond just information. Jesus invites us into a relationship that moves far beyond just like head knowledge, right? It's being fully invited to know him at every level, which leads to this: you're loved. You're loved. Now Jesus doesn't come right out and say the words, I love you in this passage. Instead, look at verse 11. He says, I'm the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. And Jesus is ultimately pointing in this, like, in his words here, he's ultimately pointing to what we'll remember and reflect and celebrate, even in its brutality, what happens this Friday, like when we celebrate Good Friday, when we remember Jesus' sacrifice, that Jesus laid down his life. Jesus is pointing to the fact that he will literally die for those he's invited into his family. He'd die for those that he is providing his care for. And he's ultimately pointing to the cross, but he also gives us this contrast, right, between someone who loves and is a good shepherd and other, like the hired hand, right? I mean, listen to what he says right before that. He says, the hired hand is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep. So when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and he runs away. And then the wolf attacks the flock and scatters it. The man runs away because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. Like, Jesus is painting this picture, right, of like when you're not invested or when you're not him, you fall short of providing the care and protection that he does, that he is the good shepherd. I was thinking back about this idea of, like, when we love someone, we protect them, right? Like, that's what we do. If you have kids, you've certainly, like, they're your kids, and you protect them. That's part of the nature of who you are. If you're married, you protect your spouse because that's what you do for the people that you love. It made me think about when Kate and I had just first gotten married, and we were just a couple weeks into this thing. So I decided to, really set high standards. So we were living in Cincinnati. We went to Kmart. All right. So first off, I'm showing my age a little bit. Blue light special, right? And we were at Kmart, and we were in the checkout line, and we're actually returning a couple wedding gifts that we'd received. So sorry if you bought our gift at Kmart. I don't know if you could register at Kmart. I don't know if that was a thing. I don't know. Their popcorn was pretty good. Anyways, so yeah, we were returning a couple wedding gifts, and we're in line, and this guy in front of us, he starts to get into an altercation with the cashier, and he's arguing with her, and I'm like, well, that seems a little heated, and then things escalate really quickly, and they're like fighting with each other, and I'm like, wow, this is not good, and then he says, the guy that's on our side says, I've got a gun, and I was like, peace. So I just ran away, so that's great. So I ran away, and I'm like, oh man, this is so scary. And then I'm like, well, where's Kate at? So I kind of peek around the end of the aisle, I'm like looking, and and she's just like hanging out. She's watching this go down. I mean, I think she thought she was watching a movie or something because she was just like standing there, just couldn't believe what she was seeing. And I'm like yelling at her like, hey, come. Hi. And eventually I'm like stuck. Do I go out and protect the woman that I love? Or do I just hang out some more? Eventually, so here's what I'm saying. Okay, now I know some of you think less of me than you already did, which is interesting. Anyways, so here's what I'll say, right? Like we fail all the time at protecting and providing and caring. Like, listen, like the truth is, like over and over again, there's seasons in our life where we look back and like, man, I would have cared differently. I would have protected differently. I certainly, like, I only made that mistake once, and that was a good early lesson to learn. But here's what Jesus is saying, right? Jesus is saying, I'm the good shepherd. I'll never leave you. I'll always protect you. I will lay down my life for you. In the book of, in 1 John, so John not only writes his gospel, but he writes some letters to some churches or some followers of Jesus that are experiencing some challenge in the world. And he writes a couple of letters to give them instruction and encouragement and teaching. And in 1 John chapter 3, listen to what John, the writer of the gospel, also says in his letter to these followers of Jesus. He says, this is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us. So Jesus says, I am the good shepherd, and I lay down my life for the sheep. And John says, if you want to know what love looks like, look to what Jesus did, that he laid down his life for us, for you, for me, for us. And John goes on and he gives some instruction to these followers of Jesus. He says, Jesus laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and our sisters. If anyone has material possessions and sees a brother or sister in need but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in that person? And then he says, dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with action and in truth. And Jesus being the good shepherd, and I think this is just so fitting that we find ourselves at the start of Holy Week, right? We find ourselves preparing for Easter and kind of reflecting on who Jesus is, what his death, what that sacrifice means for you and for me. And it's this ultimate example of love. And Jesus doesn't just express his love in words, but he demonstrates his love in action. Jesus doesn't just say, I'm the good shepherd. Jesus literally lays down his life for you and for me. And in verse 18, he says, no one takes it from me. In other words, no one takes my life from me, but I lay it down on my own accord. I have authority, right? Because Jesus is fully God. I have authority to lay it down. But check this out, authority to take it back up again. Not only does Jesus talk about and point us towards his death, but he points us towards his resurrection. And next week, we're going to look at these words in John 11. So the next chapter, we're going to hear Jesus say these words, I am the resurrection and the life. And we'll celebrate that on Easter together. But for today, can we just rest in this? Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. Perhaps you need to hear this truth today that him being the good shepherd means that you are included. That you have a place in the family no matter how broken you feel like you are, no matter how much you've walked through. Honestly, maybe you walk in here today and feel like you just don't deserve to be a part of the family of God. Jesus would say, just hear my voice, listen to my voice, and pursue me. You need to hear, maybe you need to hear that you're known. Like when we walk with Jesus, you are fully known, and that you are loved. Love so much that Jesus says, I lay down my life for my sheep. Let's pray. God, I pray that today would be this moment of recognition that you are good. Jesus, you are good. Not just good in a moral sense, that you are good and that your ways are perfect, your plan for us, your care for us, your provision in our life, your invitation into your family, your protection, your guidance. God, it is good. God, some of us need to hear that today because the struggle is feeling like we live in a world that's just seems anything but good, where we've been let down, where we've missed the mark, where we've experienced just broken relationships, and yet God, we can look to you, we can look to your Son Jesus, Father, and know that He is the Good Shepherd. God, will we rest in that? God, will we find great peace in that? Would our hope be founded in that? God, maybe today is just a day where we just listen to your voice and we come home, that we stop running, we stop listening to voices of other people, that we stop listening to all this other noise, and we just come to hear the voice of the Good Shepherd. Father, I pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, hey, as we prepare for this coming week, one of the things we wanted to do today is have a time of communion. I want to read a passage out of Matthew chapter 26. This is what Matthew writes in his gospel about Jesus. He's in the upper room, which is what people will be celebrating on Thursday. And this is what we read. It says, while they were eating, Jesus took bread. And when he had given thanks, he broke it. Remember, Jesus, I am the bread of life. He broke it and he gave it to his disciples, saying, take and eat. This is my body. And then he took the cup. When he had given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, drink from it, all of you. This is the blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many, for the forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I will not drink from this fruit of the vine from now or until the day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. So here's what I want to do this morning is I just want to offer just a time of reflection. I want to offer a time where we just slow down a little bit, honestly, like family, community. I think so often we just rush and we rush and we rush and we go through our days at such breakneck pace that we just never take the time to slow down, to breathe, and receive truth. And I want to do that. I want to offer that for you this morning. There's going to be some words on this screen from just what we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks. Some statements about who Jesus is and what that means for you and for me. And I just want to give you some time to reflect on those words. And then following that, there are 2 tables up front. And I would love just to invite you to take communion. The screen will prompt you in that. When that time comes, it'll prompt you. You can come forward as you're ready. But would you just respond to these words this morning?
and stand and sing with us. Before I spoke a word, before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You have been so, so kind to me. And oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. When I was your foe, when I was your foe, still your love fought for me. You have been so, so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so, so kind to me. Sing it out. And oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Sing it again. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Sing it out. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you
have a seat. And just as we reflect on the truth that we heard this morning, just that reminder that Jesus is the Good Shepherd, I know that so often I easily get distracted by other voices, by other things around me that want to compete for that voice that Jesus has as the Good Shepherd in my life. And I just hope that over this week, as we step into Holy Week, that we really would take the time to slow down and practice like we practiced this morning, remembering that Jesus is our Good Shepherd. And if we ever question that, like, all we have to look to is remembering the way that he laid his life down for us. And in that, we just can have complete confidence that he really is the one true Good Shepherd in our lives. And so I just pray that this wouldn't be a one-time remembering, that we would continue to remember that day by day by day. And Emily, you shared earlier this morning just a little bit about Jesus being your Good Shepherd and hearing from his voice and what that looks like in your life. So just tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So usually he knows me, right? He knows I'm simple. He knows I love nature. So when my focus is lost, if I go for a walk, especially outside, I can feel the wind on my cheek. I can hear him in the trees. I know he's there. And that is very comforting. And then it also gives me encouragement and strength to continue to serve others.
And I think to the reminder this morning that we know that he knows us well. He knows where we are. He knows our hearts. He knows exactly how to speak to us and meet us where we are if we draw near to him. And so maybe for you that looks like removing yourself from other distractions to be in his creation, to listen for his voice. Maybe it means going to his word to be reminded of his truth. Maybe it means surrounding ourselves with other people who point us toward his voice. And in that, we're just reminded that we don't follow Jesus alone. Like, we need other people in that. And because of that, we want you to know that we want this to be a place where you begin to build those relationships, where you can follow Jesus as your Good Shepherd together. And so in a few weeks from now, we're having a welcome party, and that's just a simple invitation to come and begin to build those relationships. That's something we want you to experience. We don't want you to miss out on having those in your life and following Jesus alongside others. So on Sunday, April 14th at 5:30 in the evening, come and join us. We'll have a meal together. Your whole family is welcome, and we would love for you to be part of that, just so that you can build those relationships together. And you can actually scan the QR code this morning if you know, hey, I want to take that step, like that, I want to be there. Scan the QR code, let us know that you're coming. And Emily, I know you've been part of some of those welcome parties before. So if someone's hesitating in taking that step, like, how would you encourage them this morning?
We need people to be with us, to walk with us. We need that encouragement. We need that commitment. We need that accountability. So it helps us to find somebody. A couple of weeks ago, I had somebody say to me, they feel safe coming here, even if they're not okay, because they know they can lay down their burdens here, be heard, be supported, and they can continue on. That's what you're going to get here if you're willing to build that connection.
Yeah, and then that spreads beyond this place, right? We get to invite others into that same kind of relationship too. Well, as we leave from this place this morning, just be reminded that we get to trust Jesus as our Good Shepherd. So that's the invitation as you leave from this place. So movement, go and be the church.
Oh, Holy Spirit, move in our hearts, send us with power into the world, into the world. And oh, Holy Spirit, move in our hearts, fill us with fire, hey, and love for the world. Your compassion for the lost, love that sent you to the cross, we receive it.